Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today in gaming, Battlefield 3's mod tools have arrived. The end of Warzone's original story brings a beloved character into the mix, Cyberpunk's investors might be looking to sue the developers, and much more. If Battlefield 3 with mods sounds appealing to you, well then I have good news. The Venice Unleashed mod tools for Battlefield 3 have finally launched. These tools let you do anything you can imagine while giving you the ability to run dedicated mod servers, add your own original content to the game, and tweak just about every single thing possible, including suppression. But Venice Unleashed goes well beyond simple tweaks. You can use it to make total conversion mods like Project Reality, aka Squad. Players have already made a Zombies mode, Pro mod, remade classic maps, and much more. What's already available for the mod is great, but what makes it so exciting is what players can do with it in the future. Whenever we've talked about Battlefield, half of the time we end up saying, I wish DICE would have done this or removed that. Venice Unleashed gives us the ability to do those things ourselves. The only caveat is that it's, well, Battlefield 3 and not one of the more modern games. I hopped into a few matches today, and so far it seems like most servers are just running the vanilla maps and rules with extra players and no blue filter. Obviously though, it's way too early to say what kind of mods we can expect the community to develop or how valuable those mods will be to players, but so far, I am impressed. If not by the mod creativity, then by the fact that I can actually just join a server without needing a browser plugin to show which servers have their player counts spoofed. Right now, Venice Unleashed servers are getting hammered, so you might see a lot of rubber banding players, lag, or disconnects. And that makes sense considering it just launched and everyone's excited about it. Assuming the mod's developers can sort out these launch issues, it should be a solid platform even if it's just used for playing vanilla Battlefield 3. The real question for me is how much staying power do these tools have? Battlefield 3 is certainly one of my favorite Battlefield games ever, but it's quite dated by today's standards in terms of visuals and mechanics. That being said, it could be an excellent sandbox platform for mod support, and I'm very curious to see what the community does with it. Also, you can still get Battlefield 3 for free through Twitch Prime. So, I mean, really it costs you nothing to get into one of the best Battlefield games ever made and enjoy some new updated mod support. The next chapter in Warzone's ongoing story has arrived with the introduction of Soap. Soap is one of the more memorable characters of the original Modern Warfare games, and he's been notably absent in Modern Warfare 2019 until now. Completing the new Easter egg introduced with Cold War Season 1 will unlock a cutscene that shows the big nuke Zakhaev has been trying to launch getting deactivated and Zakhaev himself getting thrown over the gantry to his death. Throughout Warzone's post-launch support, teasers and Easter eggs have built a story about Zakhaev and his nuke. Many thought it would end with Verdansk getting leveled by the nuke, but that doesn't really seem like the case anymore. The end of the cinematic has Price suggesting the mission isn't over yet, and has Soap phoning in to declare his arrival. It's all kind of tongue-in-cheek because very little of the story stuff has any bearing on Warzone's actual gameplay. But it's interesting to see how the developers have plotted out Soap's introduction and led players through all the Easter eggs. It's unclear if Price's story will continue through the future of Warzone seasons, but right now, it seems likely. CD Projekt Red's investors are apparently pretty pissed off about the situation Cyberpunk 2077 has caused. They're reportedly considering a class action lawsuit against the developers for misrepresenting the game to get more money for development. Usually, these kinds of lawsuits come from the players that felt lied to by a game's marketing. Alien Colonial Marines was the subject of such a lawsuit. However, for this lawsuit to come from the developers' investors is much more worrying. These are people who have invested millions into the game and stand to lose a lot if it flops or drops the company's stock. Considering CD Projekt Red's stock price nosedive because of all the bad press, it makes sense that they'd be concerned. But whether or not they're concerned enough to actually sue is the big question. If they are, they can probably afford to have a nasty legal battle that could do a lot of harm to CD Projekt Red. Right now, the investors are just considering if they should take action or not. Microsoft are shutting down Halo's Xbox 360 service at the end of 2021. That means online multiplayer, co-op, Forge, and other features will go offline forever for Reach, Halo 4, Halo 3, ODST, Halo Wars, Spartan Assault, and Halo 1 Combat Evolved Anniversary Edition. The silver lining is none of this affects the Master Chief Collection. Halo on the 360 is kind of where the Halo legacy was solidified. The original Halo helped convince gamers around the world to invest in the first Xbox, but Halo 2 and Halo 3 came to define what Halo was on the 360. Much of the nostalgia people have for the franchise comes from its Xbox 360 days. So while we have the Master Chief Collection and it's probably the best version of every Halo game we'll ever get, it's still wild to see the console that defined what Halo is, well, getting the boot. Stardew Valley just got a major update. 1.5 adds a new beach farm type, split-screen co-op, and a new advanced game menu that lets players tweak all sorts of things without having to dive into mods. This is probably one of the game's most significant updates yet, and it's currently available on PC. The console version will get it early next year. While Stardew Valley might look like a humble top-down farm game, it's proven to be a juggernaut of an indie title. It sold over 10 million copies since launch in 2016, and was developed primarily by one person. And while the dev team has expanded over the years, it's still mainly in the original dev's hands. If you were expecting Nintendo to launch a new console at some point soon, their president of North American operations just said he thinks the hybrid console is only at a halfway point of its life cycle. There have been rumors buzzing for months that Nintendo are working on a Switch Pro that will upgrade the console with beefier hardware, but they aren't focused on delivering it anytime soon. The Switch originally launched in 2017 and was already behind the curve in terms of raw performance when it debuted. Since then, Nintendo have launched some stellar titles like Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart that makes full use of the hardware to stunning effect, but it's obvious they're already at the limits of what the system can do. Compounding the issue is third-party titles being ported to the Switch. Doom 2016 and The Witcher 3 both have ports. The ports are incredibly impressive considering what those games take to run properly, but even getting them to run at 720p and a locked 30 FPS is a bit of a pipe dream. That's a real shame, as both Nintendo and the wider game development world have embraced the Switch as a platform for third-party gamers. The Switch Pro could have reinvigorated the hype for Nintendo's console while also giving developers more headroom to work with. That said, it could also turn into a Wii U situation where the mass confusion about the new hardware leads to people just not buying it, even though it's a new device with improved features. Spider-Man Miles Morales might be a standalone expansion, but it's one of the biggest DLC launches Sony has ever had. It sold over 660,000 units last month, beating Uncharted Lost Legacy sales, but also well below the first PlayStation 4 exclusive Spider-Man game. Miles Morales is a launch title for PlayStation 5 and is one of the best demonstrations of its hardware, so it makes sense that many people would be buying it. But according to many reviewers, it's practically a superior game that feels like a complete package even compared to the original game. In our final story today, Sega's Genesis Mini is finally on sale again. The mini console was very well reviewed last year when it launched. The roster of included games was great, and it ran them all quite well while also doubling as a homebrew emulator. It originally sold for $80 at launch, but that price has gone up and down. Right now you can get one for as little as $50, which in my opinion is a steal. And that wraps it up for today in gaming. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know a story you thought was the most interesting in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I'll see you guys next time. This is LevelCap signing off.